The Rams do it again. This time they go all in on the defensive side of the ball. What does it all mean for back-to-back Super Bowl championships?
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Travis Rogers. I host the Rams pregame show, their halftime show, and of course, the postgame show on their flagship station, ESPN 710, right here in Los Angeles. Have been doing that since the Rams returned to LA way back in 2016, the Jeff Fisher era. Let's not talk too much about that. Thanks for making us a regular part of what you do. Make sure that you click that subscribe button along the way, right there in the upper right-hand corner, and check us out on YouTube as well. Locked On Rams on YouTube every single day, Monday through Friday, all of your Rams content. We have a lot to get to today. The Rams kind of changed the entire quarterback situation in the NFL. That's coming up in just a little bit. We're going to talk about Sean McVay. When he says something, you better listen because it means that something is about to happen along the way. And of course, the biggest news of the day, the Rams got Bobby Wagner signed to a new deal. That's reportedly out there. It's a 5-year, it's about a $50 million deal. It could get extended to about 60-something million, depending on how the incentives go, depending on how long he's here. The guaranteed money, of course, is always the most important money. But we've been talking about this on the pod for a couple of days, right? Maybe even for a couple of weeks, that Bobby Wagner made a ton of sense for the Rams, that he, A, knows the conference really well, B, a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, maybe because the Seahawks moved on from him the way that he did. He's from Los Angeles. The fact that the Rams are the defending Super Bowl champions gives him an unbelievable opportunity to come and win right away, right? To not have to go and be a part of a process or hope that it could happen, that you know that all the pieces that you need to make a Super Bowl champion are right here in LA. So that's something that I'm sure was very appealing to him along the way. So we're going to get into all of that. So let's just start with the actual football component of this. This is a position that the Rams have been struggling with for some time. This is a position last year that was held down by Ernest Jones, who played reasonably well, and Troy Reeder, who, you know, for Rams fans at least, maybe he was the kind of the guy that Rams fans kind of focus some of their frustrations on occasionally. Now, all of a sudden, at that inside linebacker position, you're putting in a 6-time All-Pro. I mean, what do you want? what more could you want than that? I think there are a couple of other added benefits to this as well. Von Miller and Bobby Wagner play very different positions. They don't really do the same thing on the football field, but I think they could have a similar impact, right? That Von Miller, even though he's here a very short period of time, had a great deal of impact on this team from a leadership role. It allowed Aaron Donald to maybe be a little bit more vocal. It allowed to have somebody in the room that knew what it's like to have to go through and win a Super Bowl, that knew what those trials and tribulations were all about. Now, of course, you have a defense full of those guys that have been through it. But when you have somebody, much like Von Miller, in Bobby Wagner, who comes in and has stripes, right? Just a guy that is a made guy in this league. There is no, hey, you know, does he know what he's talking about? What has he ever done? How does he know how we do things here? None of that. He walks right into that locker room and instantaneously has a great deal of respect from everybody that's there. That's really hard to find. That when Von Miller left, and everything that you look at with the Rams about their title defense, and you know, you've seen it on ESPN, you've seen it on NFL Network, you see players coming in and players coming out, and the players coming out list was a lot longer than the players coming in for the Rams. It was basically Allen Robinson on one side, and on the other side it's Andrew Whitworth and Darius Williams and Von Miller and just right a Robert Woods and Sebastian Joseph Day and all the guys that have left on the other, and it's lopsided, right? There's not the equal guys in and guys coming out. Well, when the two guys are coming in are all pros, kind of evens things out pretty nicely the way that it did. So there's a leadership component to this that I think is very, very important. There's also just, it's very hard to quantify, but I think this is why it's so important to their title defense. I think this is why the Rams at least have the opportunity to avoid the Super Bowl hangover, right? Look, the last time the Rams went to the Super Bowl, now it's different. They didn't win, but the last time the Rams went to the Super Bowl, there was a definite hangover the next season. There was the sense that, okay, maybe they were, I don't want to quite say a flash in the pan, but they're here early. Maybe they weren't quite the best team. They caught the best draw, whatever it might be. And the Rams just kind of fell flat the next season. And, you get that close to the top and it doesn't happen. A little bit of a hangover is not uncommon. We've seen it time and time again. The team that loses the Super Bowl is very rarely the team that comes back the very next year and looks great all over again. It just doesn't work like that in that league. The team that wins the Super Bowl maybe can get back a little bit more frequently, but they tend to struggle a little bit. And who knows exactly why, right? Maybe it's because of that you've got guys that are a little satisfied. Maybe it's because you have climbed the mountain and you know what it takes. And you can, intellectually, you're telling yourself that I know I need to do this. I need to lift weights. I need to do this. I need to study this film. But emotionally, it's like, I kind of got it already, right? And then there's the idea of, hey, listen, how often do you see a team that wins a Super Bowl and they start tearing things down because they got to rebuild for what's coming next, whether it's 2 years from now, 5 years from now, but we can't pay everybody. We're going to have to, look, we got this done. We're going to reset. We're going to kind of collect some draft picks or capital or whatever it is, and then we're going to go for it again. How often does that happen? All the time, right? The Rams basically went and won the Super Bowl, cracked their knuckles, and said, okay, how are we going to do this again? Oh, Allen Robinson, I'll take him. Oh, Bobby Wagner, yeah, we'll take him. If you're one of the other guys in the organization, if you're Cooper Kupp or Aaron Donald or Matthew Stafford or really anybody, Jalen Ramsey, it's anybody that's coming back that's part of that team is like, yeah, we're going for this again. There's nobody here that's satisfied with one. And I think it's incredibly important that when you get signings like this, like Bobby Wagner, that there's a direct connection to the players there. And you're giving them a message. We're giving you everything you need. You need a middle linebacker? Okay, here's the best one on the market. You think you need another wide receiver? Fine. Here's a guy that might be one of the most underrated players in the league because Blake Bortles and Mitch Trubisky were his quarterbacks. But now that you've got a real guy, watch this guy go. The message that sends through the entire organization is really something else. It's very, very impressive and something that I couldn't be more impressed with the Rams. And look, eventually the bill comes due, right? Eventually, when you're signing proven players and you're giving them a lot of money and you don't have a ton of draft picks and all the things that the Rams have done, I would assume at some point that the bill is going to come due. But until then, they're going to eat. They're going to have a good time. They're going to spend some of that money and they're going to go to the Super Bowl and they're going to win a Super Bowl and they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to win the division. And if it doesn't happen, it's not going to be because they were satisfied with doing it once. It's because they went for it all over again. And that has an incredible trickle-down effect. Maybe this year it's Bobby Wagner. Maybe next year it's somebody else. But you hear guys time and time again, and we've talked about this on the pod. That's why you got to click the button. When the culture of the organization is we're trying to win the Super Bowl every year, not every team can say that. They can say it, but the players are smart. Players are going to know that it's not true, and they know that it is true with the Rams. Okay, coming up next, I want to talk about some of the quarterback movement and why the Rams may have been the guys to start this entire new era of the NFL. That's coming up in just a bit. But first, let's talk about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline.net is your number one spot for all things. Like, I don't know, let's just say that maybe your team acquired a brand new middle linebacker who was a 6-time Pro Bowler, and maybe you want to see if it changed your Super Bowl odds. Maybe you want to find out what the win share total might look like. BetOnline.net. This is where you can find all of that stuff for my team, for your team, for all the teams. And we know that it's college basketball season. We're getting close to the end there. Maybe you're looking for a little insight there. Maybe you're looking to go play a little bit there. BetOnline.net. We can talk about, hey, the Bucks got a new coach. We got this going on over here. BetOnline.net, right? Wherever you're thinking that, hey, this move over here, I need a little information on this. I need a little information on that. BetOnline.net, where the game begins. Go check it out right now. BetOnline.net. Okay, so the Rams have a philosophy. The Rams have a vision. The Rams have a methodology that is unlike, I think, just about every other team in the league. Or at least it used to be unlike every other team in the league. The F them picks, we're going to go for it year after year. Give me the proven guy. I don't need to worry about draft picks. And we're going to go into the trade market. You know, this isn't baseball or the NBA where guys move teams in the middle of the season, unless the Rams are involved, and then guys move in the middle of the season. That's something that they're incredibly active in doing. But let's kind of narrow this down just a little bit. Let's talk about what they did with their quarterbacks. Tell me if you think this is a coincidence, because I absolutely do not think that it is. The Rams did something that you almost never see in the NFL. They had a quarterback in Jared Goff that they paid a very high price to go get. They gave up future first-round draft picks, multiple first-round draft picks, to move up to take him number 1 in 2016. They drafted him thinking he was going to be the quarterback of the future. They put an incredible amount of resources in it, and they tried to make it go. And it did, at least to a point. It went to the point where you could at least say, hey, look, we went to the Super Bowl. We won the division. Won the division a couple of times. We're in the mix. And then a couple more seasons go by, and all of a sudden it becomes very clear that he's not the guy. Happens, right? How many times do you land on the guy? Not very often, right? There's not a million Peyton Mannings out there. They just don't exist. They're really hard to find. But unlike other teams, the Rams realized we don't have a right guy. No, it's not personal with Jared Goff, but we don't have the right guy. Who's the right guy? You know who might be the right guy? Matthew Stafford might be the right guy. How are we going to get him? Well, it's going to cost an arm and a leg. It's going to cost another couple of first-round draft picks. It's going to cost us so we don't pick near the top of the draft for who knows how long. Every other team at that point says, you know, let's just try to make it work. Let's just hope that he gets better. Let's hope that we can surround him with more players. Let's change the coach. Let's do this or that. The Rams didn't do it. The Rams said, no. The problem is he's not good enough. Let's go try that other guy and hope that he is. We think that he'll be the right answer. And what happened? It worked, right? They went out and got him, and it was a smash. They went out and got Matthew Stafford, and it was a smash success. It just all of a sudden, they are a Super Bowl champion because of the quarterback in large part, and that's incredibly important. They didn't just win. Had every game gone like the Arizona game in wild card, I don't know if we'd be seeing what we're seeing. But because they didn't, because the next game, Matthew Stafford was brilliant and beat Tom Brady. Because the game after that, he has a game-winning drive in the fourth quarter and is brilliant, and they win the NFC Championship. Because the Super Bowl, you need a drive for the ages at the end of the game, and he finds Cooper Kupp over and over again, including a no-look pass that we're going to see 1,000 times over the next offseason. He wins the Super Bowl for you. So what happens after that? You looked around the league? Have you looked around and seen what other people have done? Russell Wilson is on a new team. Russell Wilson. Like, I get it. Guys move. Tom Brady is in Tampa. Peyton Manning went from Indy to Denver. It happens, but usually not at the point in the career where Russell Wilson is. Russell Wilson is on a new team. Seattle's got an offer. Denver said, hey, you know, the Rams kind of went in all in to go get Matthew Stafford, and it worked. Who can we get? Russell Wilson's pretty good. Let's go get Russell Wilson. They did it. It wasn't just them. Where's Matt Ryan? Now, Matt Ryan's a bit of more of a risky proposition, right? Matt Ryan's not had a couple of good years in a row, but Indy's looking at their team and saying, we were the best team in this division, not named Tennessee. We should have been in the playoffs, and the reason we're not is our quarterback, Carson Wentz, is not good enough. Here, take some picks. We're out of here. We're going to move on. They're going to send him to, we're going to send him to the Commanders. We're going to have an opening here. We're going to go get Matt Ryan out of Atlanta. They're bold, right? That's not the only one. Deshaun Watson, and let's put all Deshaun Watson's stuff aside for a second. Okay, that makes it even riskier. But the Browns say Baker Mayfield, who we took number 1 in the draft not that long ago, isn't good enough. We got a good team. It's very similar to the Rams. We've got a good team. Our quarterback's not good enough. Who's good? Deshaun Watson is good. Okay, let's, again, a reminder. Let's put Deshaun Watson's stuff to the side for a second. But Deshaun Watson's a terrific quarterback. Let's go get him. It's going to cost you 3 first-round. I don't care. Go get him. You think any of this is happening if the Rams haven't done what they've done? Do you think any of this is happening if the Rams haven't done what they've done and it worked? Copycat league. How many times do you hear that? The reason Deshaun Watson is in Cleveland, the reason Russell Wilson is in Denver, the reason that Matt Ryan is in Indianapolis, and to a lesser degree Carson Wentz with the Commanders and Trubisky in Chicago or in Pittsburgh now after leaving Chicago, is because the Rams proved that if you're bold and you take some chances and you have faith in what it is that you're doing and your vision is viable, why not? Look. Let's say this whole thing comes cratering down in a year or two and the Rams don't get another Super Bowl. Let's just say nothing works out. It's worth it, right? It was worth it. They won the Super Bowl. You know how many teams get to say that? Not very many. And I think that every other team in the league is saying, look, if we can get Deshaun Watson for a couple of years and we can win a Super Bowl and we can go and maybe we're never picking near the top of the draft for, through the end of the decade. Maybe not. But the Browns get to the AFC Championship game. It's a win. That's what the guys are doing. And the only reason it's happening is because because Matthew Stafford did what he did. And the only reason he was able to do what he did is because the Rams went big in a moment where you had to be bold. You had, no risk it or no biscuit, no risk it, or whatever former coach Bruce Arians had to say. The Rams actually live it, not just by play call, but by organizationally. You know what? This is a big risk, but I think it's worth it. Let's go do it. And now every other team in the NFL is chasing it down as well. All right. I want to talk about something Sean McVay said at the league meetings coming up here in just a little bit. And he invoked none other name than Michael Jordan. And I loved every minute of it. That's coming up next. So Sean McVay, of course, front and center at the league meetings in Florida earlier this week and talking about a million different things, talking about Aaron Donald coming back, whether or not he's going to take the Yahoo money, being funny, being Sean McVay, basically. And Sean McVay is a very magnetic guy, right? When he's talking, he kind of sucks you in. He's got that personality. He's got that magnetism that you really can't teach. You just either have it or you don't. Sean McVay has it and then some, to say the least. But I thought one of the things he said was really fascinating. And he was talking about how they're getting ready to defend their title. They're getting ready to make another bold move. This was before Bobby Wagner had been signed. And he was talking about how much it would mean to sign him and how interested they were in doing something like that. And one of the questions was something along the lines of, are you worried about when the bill is coming due? Yeah, I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But he said something that I thought was awesome, just awesome. It made me feel so excited about the future of the Rams, about this team coming up in the 2022 season and beyond. He said he was watching the Michael Jordan documentary, right? The one that ran towards the end of the pandemic about the Bulls' last championship run along the way. And he said that Michael Jordan said something during that I don't worry about missing shots that I haven't even taken yet. That I'm not worried about something that it's not even here yet, right? I'm never worried about missing a shot that I haven't taken. And it clearly resonated with McVay. And he talked about how the Rams are trying to bring that sort of philosophy and that sort of ambition, that sort of swag to the football field and in their title defense. I'm not going to be worried about what I don't have down the road. It's not here yet. I'm not worried about what might happen if it doesn't go well. I'm still in the middle of this. I'm not worried about a shot I might miss in the fourth quarter. I'm in the second quarter. And I think it speaks to everything that we've talked about in this particular edition of the pod is A, be bold, go get Bobby Wagner. B, have your own vision. Like you see what's going on around the rest of the league and quarterbacks are moving around and star players are moving around. They're kind of trying to rip off the Rams game plan. Good luck. It may work. Look, copycats sometimes do succeed, but usually the guy that has the original vision is the guy that ultimately gets paid off on it, like the Rams. The Rams embodied this, let's just go for it sort of thing. So this idea that, well, hey, let's back up a little bit. Let's try to figure out what's coming next after this. Why? Let's do this right now. We'll figure out later. I always say, this to kind of mix the sports metaphors here a little bit as well. Mike Scioscia, former manager of the Angels, I remember he was managing a series against the New York Yankees, and he used his closer, I think it was Frankie Rodriguez at the time, in like the 7th and 8th inning of a game. And then the next day he used him in the 8th and 9th inning. And somebody asked him, something like, well, what are you going to do tomorrow? He's like, I worry about tomorrow. I need to worry about today, right now. I got to win tonight. And I think that's kind of what Sean McVay is getting at with Michael Jordan. I'm not worried about what may happen. I need to worry about what's happening right now. I need to go get Bobby Wagner. Yeah, but what about the picks? Nope, we'll do that later. Hey, I need to worry about, do I have 2 minutes? Hold on. Nope, we're not going to. What we're going to try to do is we're going to try to get ready for this season. And in the NFL, I think it's an incredibly smart philosophy. Baseball, it's a little bit different, right? If you're trying to build an organization, you got to have minor leaguers. You got to have some cheap players. You got to have some, you're going to have some expensive players. But you can kind of tell coming down the road a couple of years down that we're going to be good or not based on what's in the pipeline. Football's not like that. How often do you see there's 14 teams in the playoffs right now? I can tell you, let's just take the NFC. 7 teams in the NFC made it last year. Probably 4 of the same teams will be in. You're going to get 3 brand new ones. And the thing is, you don't know who the 3 guys that are going out are. Nobody does. And I think that's what the Rams are betting on. We're going to go for it every single year while we have the window open, while we have a chance to get it done. I'm not going to worry about missing a shot that I haven't taken yet. Yeah, what happens in 2025? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in 2025. We haven't even played 2022 yet. Let's worry about this. Let's go get Bobby Wagner. Let's re-sign Aaron Donald. Let's give Cooper Kupp a new deal. Let's rework Matthew Stafford. We will worry about that later. Usually when you kind of push that stuff off, eventually there's a huge bill that's due. Not so sure in the NFL. This may be the new way to do it. Maybe they got to change the rules. Maybe they got to find a way to, because if the Rams do it this way, it works again. If other teams are able to kind of replicate what they're doing and it works for them, and the salary cap just keeps getting pushed down the road, maybe you got to change something along the way. But the way that they've been doing it the last couple of years, the way they continue to do it, and when Sean McVay says something, that's what they're doing. There's not a lot of smoke and mirrors with that guy. It's not like he's saying one thing, doing another, setting you up over here so he can dodge over here. Is Jared Goff your quarterback? Well, he is for right now. Writing was on the wall. Boom, Matthew Stafford in a day. You going to get Aaron Donald done? Yeah, we are. Boom, done. Matthew Stafford, boom, done. We're working on Cooper Kupp. Boom. You want Bobby Wagner? Yeah, we kind of do. Boom, done. Not a bad way to run a football team, especially when it keeps working. Now, somebody's going to take these ideas and they're going to run them right into the ground, and it's going to be a disaster, because a big part of it, and we'll talk about this tomorrow as well in the next edition of Locked On Rams, you got to have the right guy that's able to implement all these things, and the Rams certainly have the right guy in Sean McVay. That's going to do it. Thank you again for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single day. Don't forget to make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Everything that you need to know about the NFL Draft, front offices, prospects, they got you covered right there. Locked On NFL Draft. Until next time, whose house? It's Locked On Rams house.